My friends, today's episode is powered by my friends over at carnosine beta-alanine. Now, I gotta be honest, this morning when I woke up, dark, cold, sleepies were in the eyes. I'm like, I gotta get up, I gotta get vertical, and I gotta get my workout in. But I wasn't feeling it until I went downstairs, got my little carnosine beta-alanine out of the cupboard, started mixing my drink, getting my journaling time. I'm journaling, I'm writing, and all of a sudden, there it was. 16 minutes in, and I was fired up to get that workout in. Let me tell you, 45-minute fasted cardio, 25 minutes of strength, and let me tell you what, epic workout this morning. And if you win the day, then you win your life. You got to win the day, and that starts with winning your morning. So thank you, carnosine beta-alanine, for getting the little sleepies out of my eyes this morning and making sure you power my workout. You're like, T, what's this carnosine beta-alanine thing you always talk about? Well, I've only been using it for about 25 years now. But let me tell you, my friends, it's something that gives me the edge as well. 3.2 grams a day. Up to 6.4, but 3.2 grams a day, got to get that in. And realize that carnosine, patented carnosine beta-alanine, backed by 55 scientific studies and contains 0 banned substances. Now, if you're a coach trainer, you work with any pro athletes, that is important. And if you're not someone who works with any pro athletes, it's still important. You don't want any banned substances in your carnosine beta-alanine. Well, it's not going to be in the carnosine, it's only going to be in beta-alanine. So choose carnosine and you're good. Why else do I recommend to my athletes? Because it's the best that they could put in their body, and I always recommend the best. When you go to GNC, you go online, make sure you look to see for the carnosine logo. And when you look for the carnosine logo, then you know you're putting the best stuff in your body. My friends, I've got a special page. If you go to carnosine.com/TD, my own page, carnosine.com/TD, it's going to tell you all the verified carnosine brands that you can get your pre-workout supplement from. My friends, choose carnosine beta-alanine today. It's going to help you and your workouts. carnosine.com/TD. Check it out. Folks, before we get to today's show, I want to challenge you. Have you ever had a disaster in your life that's led to a dream? Have you ever been in pain that's led to a deeper purpose? I have. October 29, 2012, Hurricane Sandy ravaged the Jersey seashore. It absolutely annihilated the eastern seaboard, as many of you probably remember. As I sat here in San Diego thinking, man, how can I help? What can I do to all my family and friends who lost homes and businesses back there on the eastern seaboard? Well, without much time of thinking, I eventually created my Durkin Impact Foundation, 501c3. And over the last 9 years, we've given over $250,000 to families and individuals in need. As a matter of fact, the month of November is Impact Month. It's the one month in the entire year where we raise all of our funds so that we can gift back to the families and individuals in needs. We scholarship student athletes who are going to college and can't afford it. Families who come up with tough times and need help. That's what the Durkin Impact Foundation is all about. And today, I'm challenging all of you to think about a generous gift. $5, $50, $500, $5,000, $5 million, whatever on your heart. Now, a few things that are going on this month beyond just this great podcast that you're about to listen to in just a moment. Number one, if you're a coach, trainer, or fitness pro, November 7th to the 12th, I want to challenge you to sign up for free. Sign up for free to our Impact Summit. The Todd Durkin Impact Summit is going to gather the people I coach so that we can give back to the industry and save and revitalize the fitness industry. Sign up November 7th to the 12th. Sign up today, ToddDurkin.com. Also, Impact Day is on November 20th. If you're in San Diego, I would love to lead a workout session with you. If you're not in San Diego, don't worry about it. Later in the day, 11 o'clock West Coast time, 2 o'clock East Coast time. I'm not quite sure what time that is in Europe, but I want to invite you to an Impact Talk. And let me tell you what, I'll have fire and brimstone on in the HQ as I give this talk, both virtually and live. Sign up today for the Impact Day on November 20th. All you have to do to sign up or make a donation is go to ToddDurkin.com. When you go to ToddDurkin.com, all of the details are there for both the Impact Summit, Impact Day, and any way that you would like to make your generous gift today. Thank you for what you do every single day and for creating impact. Until next time, I want you to tune in and listen to today's great episode. Let's go there now. Welcome back to another episode of The Impact Show. Yes, this is your host, Todd. Durkin is in the house, and I got a special guest today. Ladies and germs, welcome to my friend, Nick Hundley. Nick, welcome to The Impact Show, brother.
Man, TD, it is great to be with you again. I've dreamed of being on this show. Awesome to do that.
Hey, this is going to be a great conversation, my friends. Nick is someone I've known since 2008. He, at that point, was playing for the San Diego Padres, and he was a catcher for the Padres, and had an illustrious 11-year career in Major League Baseball. He recently retired in 2020 and is doing amazing things these days, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But I do want to start off with, back in the day, he started training at Fitness Quest in 2008. I mean, who were some of the guys in the group that we trained with?
Man, well, first of all, this is why I come back, because not many people refer to my career as illustrious.
Illustrious.
I will take that, yeah. That's why I like being around you. Yeah, man, we got an awesome group of guys, man. Like guys like Will Venable, Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Young,
Stauffer.
Yeah, Tim Stauffer, Aaron
Harang,
just
CY, Chris Young.
Well, I mean, just some awesome people and like great careers, but even better guys to be around. So I miss that camaraderie. So it's great to just walk in the door.
I always love when like Sproles would hop in with the football guys, and baseball guys have a way. They're always heckling. They're different than football guys because football guys don't heckle as much as baseball guys are always yapping. They work their tails up, but they're always yapping. So Sproles is like, these guys are in between sets. They're yapping all the time. I'm like, those are the baseball guys. But I loved that group. It was probably a decade that we trained and hard. And Nick Hundley was always one of the guys leading the charge because Nick comes from actually a football background in many ways. His dad coached college football for 40 years?
Yeah, he coached college and pro football for 41 or 42 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was in the weight room with those guys when they're, when I was 13 and just, he let me in, gave us access, me and my brother, just to the entire process. So I'm very thankful for that.
Right. And now you're working for the International Justice Mission, doing some amazing things when it comes to human trafficking, sex trafficking, basically modern slavery. And I want to talk about that in a moment. But before we do it, I want to step back so people understand you had this great Major League Baseball career. And folks, if you get 11 years in professional sports, I'm going to say that's darn great. Take us back. You went to Arizona for college, correct? Just bring me back to the day of how did you get into professional baseball?
Yeah, I always dreamed of playing football and baseball growing up.
Yeah.
And I wanted to play in college. I didn't know a whole lot about professional sports, just my dad being in the collegiate space. So I wanted to do both. And then it got to the point where my dad was at University of Washington when I was in high school. And it was like, they didn't recruit me. So I was like, tell me to go play.
The Pac-12 didn't recruit you? Okay.
No, I got a couple letters from Eastern Washington, but I think that was just...
Hey, they were good, by the way.
They were good, but I think my dad knew the coach too. So it's like,
that helps.
Introduction letter, So, it was great, but I love playing baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember my dad, he never pushed us to do something that we weren't passionate about. So my brother was a wrestler. I played baseball. He was always there for us. He's gone a lot with football, but whenever he was home, he was with us. So it was really cool on that end. And then going into college, went to University of Arizona, the Harvard of the Southwest, as they call it.
I've never heard that one, by the way, for University of Arizona. Okay.
And got to enjoy that time. Met my wife there. Some awesome people there. And then was drafted by the Padres. Came up through the Padres.
What round did you get drafted in?
Second.
Second round.
Yeah.
So you had a good college career.
It was fun. Yeah, we had a good team. I played for Andy Lopez. They're an awesome leader. Still talk to him to this day. He was. We kind of built that program together. We were his first recruiting class.
Andy Lopez is where now?
He's in Tucson. He retired a few years ago from University of Arizona.
Got it.
And then they live in Tucson. He does some awesome things in the community there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So drafted second round. Played 11 years. With what teams besides the Padres?
Yeah, so I was here from 2008 to 2014. Got traded to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Was a great summer there. We played 2 years in Colorado, 2 years in San Fran with the Giants, and then my last year was with the Oakland A's.
Okay. Any idea how many innings you've caught in those 11 years?
Oh man, that's a great question. I can look that up. for sure.
And
but
you can Google it. The reason why I ask is, how are your knees these days? Like, I got bad knees. I actually I got good knees now because they're new. But I was a catcher in high school, and I'm thinking about, man, Hundo, we got to keep his legs strong and do what you talk about folks grinding. Hundo loved power cleans, squats, lunges, step ups. I mean, you loved working legs. I remember that, and had a cannon for an arm. But I'm just curious, how are your knees now?
Yeah,
good?
They're great. I had my first knee surgery, I think, in 2012.
Okay.
And before that, I was, I don't need knee savers, man. Those are soft. Those little, stuff for catchers. Like, I'm tough. I'm too tough for that. And I had first knee surgery. I was like, I'm going to try these out. I was like, oh, these are awesome. It's like pillows for your legs.
Interesting.
I should have used these,
Literally.
But, going through working with you and being in here on the grind, I always tell the guys, like, I was thankful to learn how to work in the weight room at an early age. And then, the stuff that you do in November, that's going to pay off in August and September. Putting your body through that grind and through that hell in the off season, like, it's just going to pay off down the road. So thankfully, I'm really helping.
What was perhaps one of your greatest moments in your 11-year career?
Man, I think probably the couple of most notable, getting called up for the first time. I called my parents from Sacramento, and I hung up on my mom because I couldn't tell her because I was just like going to break down. So I had to like compose myself and get it together and then go making the playoffs. Well, I was in the playoffs one time.
Before you get, how many years did you spend in the minors?
2.5.
Okay.
So I was fortunate that way. Had a pretty good path they put me on to come through the system. Yep. So
and then playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs. In 2013, my daughter was born in August. My first daughter, Allison, and she was born here in San Diego, and then I took her and my wife home from the hospital, went and played. I hit a home run my first game back, and I was actually sitting with Will Venable, one of my best buddies, and I was like the third inning, and I'm about to like break down on the bench. He's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "No, man." He's like, "Okay, well, go in the clubhouse. You can't cry on the bench right here." It's like the third inning. Get it together.
Here's this tough catcher, looks like a linebacker. He's weeping on in the dugout.
It was unbelievable. So then one year I was with San Fran, and this is after my dad had retired. So him and my mom came to. They were so supportive. They came to a bunch of games, and I hit a home run on Mother's Day and Father's Day with both of them in the stands, and it was just unbelievable. It was fun.
One of my fondest memories, actually watching you and those guys we mentioned, Stauffer, Tony Gwynn Jr., Venable, C.Y., Quentin Berry, Harang, Mark Pryor, these guys on that group was you and C.Y. invited me out to spring training one year. I took Melanie and the kids, and we were out in Arizona. And you wouldn't remember this, but it's one of my fondest memories. I'd never been to spring training, and I remember both Luke and Brady fell asleep on my lap late in a spring training game. And as a matter of fact, they fell asleep on my lap, and when the game was over, they were still sleeping. I didn't want to get them up because I wanted to capture that memory and moment. I mean, to the point where you guys had gone in the dugout, showered, we're walking to the buses, and they're still asleep. I'm the only one in the stands other than the janitors or the people cleaning the stadium, and I'm still sitting there. And it was one of the fondest memories I have of you guys playing a game. Even though it's pro athletics, it's playing a game. My kids are in my lap sleeping, and I just wanted time to freeze. Because here Luke was probably, 6 years old. I think Brady was 4. McKenna was just born, and it was a special time. So I remember that vividly, and obviously all of the highlights of your career as well. Fast forward, after baseball, you went to work with C.Y., Chris Young, like we call him C.Y. C.Y. was a pitcher for the Padres, 6 foot 10 inches, Princeton, 2-sport athlete, great man, now the GM of the Texas Rangers now. But 2 years ago, actually a year ago, was with Major League Baseball front offices. And you worked with C.Y. in front offices. Tell me about that experience. How was that?
It was amazing. C.Y. called me. He's like, "Hey, if you want to keep playing, obviously do it. But if you're ready to transition, I want you to come on board and build this out." And we had a really good plan going forward of like long-term growth of the game.
Yeah.
How we build a product that younger fans like to watch. How can we come along and serve players in this role in an environment where it's historically pretty contentious between the commissioner's office and the players union. How can we bridge that gap? How can we build relationships? How can we interact and learn and grow? And it was unbelievable. And then, a month into the job, the season gets shut down from COVID. So we were grinded to, obviously get games going again. And obviously people are having real life struggles. So getting a Major League Baseball game back on the field isn't of the utmost importance, but at the time we're like, hey, how can we do this? So it was just a wild summer. And then, I think he left in December to go run his.
What was your role with them?
So I was a senior director of baseball operations for Major League Baseball. So
now, truth be told, and we'll reveal this here on the Impact Show today, I remember when you and there was someone else got in a little scuffle when you were with the Giants, and CY had to levy a fine on the two. I remember texting CY, you better be nice to Hundo.
Yes. Right? I remember that was the best. I mean, going from catching CY to getting a phone call about I allegedly started a brawl in LA, which is true.
Good job.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
So, being on that call with lawyers from both sides was interesting, and hearing CY in that leadership role.
But your fine was less than the other guys, I believe. A lot less, if I'm not mistaken, no?
I don't recall.
Yeah. You're hearing it here first on the Impact Show. Good job, CY. I remember when we were training, I remember vividly just Chris and I training once, talking about culture. And someday when he was in the front offices after his career was done, he was going to make culture a big part of a baseball organization, because sometimes, in any organization, culture is king. And the day that CY got released from the San Diego Padres, he was driving from San Diego back to his home in Texas. And I remember him saying, I just got a call about this opportunity in New York for this job. I'm like, take it. He's like, I don't know if I want to hang it up. I'm like, hang it up, CY. You've had 14 years. You got an opportunity here. And now as the GM of the Texas Rangers, doing amazing things. I just happened to talk to him last night as we record this podcast about what he's going to do about culture at the Rangers. Now, if you're a baseball fan, know this: the Texas Rangers are in last place. If you're on the outside looking in, they're horrible. I talked to CY, the GM, and he's like, TD, we are so well positioned for a great run in the next year or two, and when we do, the foundation and the culture is built, and we are going to have a long, long championship journey. And I was getting goosebumps listening to him, because he's so convicted of the mission, the vision of that championship culture. And I know you and he are close as well, but it was cool to hear that. When he left, why did you decide to move on to a different opportunity?
Yeah, you know what? I think when I was playing, there's a really cool organization called International Justice Mission that I work for now. They have an athlete outreach, an arm to the organization called Team Freedom. And, I'll get into this more as we go, but we had done some stuff with Team Freedom, me and my wife, Amy, when I was playing. And a good buddy of mine, Donald Brown, was a running back here with the Chargers.
Yeah, I know Donald.
Yeah, so he
trained here.
Yes. So he
Jersey boy.
Oh, Connecticut, UConn, Husky.
Yeah, went to Connecticut,
had that program.
Red Bank Catholic High School, Jersey, I believe, and then UConn.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
DB, Don Brown.
So he had joined International Justice Mission and called me.
Interesting.
And was like, hey, do you want to build this thing out? We're going big, and we want to grow, and we want to build this thing out. And kind of like CY called me. And, and that's kind of what I love about these professions that I've been in, in baseball or the MLB office or International Justice Mission, doing things that a lot of people think are not possible, right? And doing things that are hard to do, and going at it and attacking these problems.
What is it? If you could describe International Justice Mission, what is it?
At its core, we seek to protect people in poverty from violence. There's billions of people around the world that live outside the rule of law. So meaning that if you pick up 911 TD right now, or you call 911, somebody's picking up and somebody's coming for you.
Yep.
And that's the reality of that is lost on a lot of people. A lot of people in the world, if they call 911, nobody's coming. and it's worse for people in poverty. So their everyday life is filled with violence and the fact that they know that nobody is coming to help them. So IJM's goal is to go reach those people and to go change that system. You know, like in America, definitely there's problems with our justice system and our legal system for sure, but it also functions. Like there's also a system in place that if you need help, like help is coming.
How much of the work that you do is U.S. based versus international, or is it all international?
So a lot of it's both. So we do a lot of, we have full-time lobbying crews in DC that go after legislation change and government power, moving governments. And then, but like 99% of the problem we're trying to tackle is international.
Okay.
So you look at San Diego, for instance. Like we have a police force with a human trafficking task force on it. You know, the reality in the Philippines before IJM got there was there's no task force. You know, there's nobody enforcing those laws, things like that. So we seek to go in and help those governments and those systems like function.
How bad is human trafficking, sex trafficking? You hear about it. You're obviously on the inside, probably seeing and hearing things that we don't need to share. But I'd like to know, how bad really is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll kind of give you a little bit of my experience into that world. So in 2013, my daughter was born. My first daughter, Allison, we have two. Allie's 8 and Haley's 5 now, which is crazy. But we were sitting in spring training in a Bible study put on, and a good buddy of mine is a chaplain in the Diamondbacks, a guy named Brian Hummel. He's been involved with an organization, an aftercare home for girls that have been trafficked and abused in Manila. He'd been doing baseball camps over there for years, and got involved with this aftercare home. And 2 of the girls come over in front of 100 baseball players in America and share their testimony and share their stories about how, you know, one when she was 12 was sold into prostitution by her aunts, and the other girl's story was somehow worse. And me and Amy were sitting there like, how in the world are we holding a 6-month-old baby girl? Like, what would be the worst thing that she ever went through in her life? It's like that right there.
Yes.
So we get involved with this aftercare home in Manila and like bringing these girls in, and it's such an awesome.
That year was what?
2014.
14.
Yeah. Okay. So we start this process of like learning about what it is like to be trafficked and what these girls' life and their stories are like, and the need for the aftercare. Like we have social workers, counselors. We have kind of our niche in the Philippines is like bringing in girls that are ready to prosecute their offenders.
Let me ask you something. 2014, you start to get involved in this. You're about 6 years into your career.
Yeah.
Were you ever at a point in your career where you started saying, what's this baseball thing all about? Here I am making good money. I'm playing baseball. There's notoriety, high profile. Then you see this other world. Did you ever start thinking to yourself when you were talking to Amy that, well, maybe this is nothing more than a platform for me to make a difference? Is that something that crossed your mind, or all of a sudden you get open to the world and you're like, wow, I got to do something about this?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think there's a lot that goes into that. Because there have been times when I've, lay in bed and talk to Amy, be like, hey, what am I doing with my life?
Yep.
Like, why am I playing baseball in Cincinnati when this is going on? For sure.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, I was given the ability to do something and to play baseball, to catch a ball and throw it back to the pitcher. Like, and that ability, like, there's a really cool quote, Adam Wainwright, pitcher for Cardinals, I read from him. It said, as an athlete, you have this platform for an amount of time, like you might as well stand on it, right? So I've been, and one of my favorite Bible verses is in Luke. It says, "Those have been given much, much is expected."
That's right.
Right. I have the ability to play baseball and stand on this platform, and I'm going to use that platform as long as I have it. Because at some point, they're going to say, "Hey, it's time to do something else," But while I have the opportunity to play baseball, I'm going to go use it, and I'm going to go spread as much awareness and joy as I can about people who are struggling. And then at the end of the day, like when this baseball thing's over, let's go do something else.
Yep.
Let's go find another dream. Let's go find another mission.
Yep. So much is given, much is required. So 2014, you start to get a little bit more interested in how you can use your platform to help make a difference.
Yeah.
And that. And then when you got into the IJM, now, where are you at now as far as your role? This is a full-time role. Tell me a little bit more about your role.
Yeah, so I got introduced to IJM through our afterground home in the Philippines.
Okay.
And because we were in this spot where, we have an awesome missionary who runs the home, who is discipling these girls, who's, putting them in, we would take them through school, all the way through college if they want to. They live in our home. But at the same time, we're turning away like multiple girls a week because we don't have space.
How many kids are in that school?
We have in our home now we have 43 in our first home, and then the other one is 11. So, and it's a cool story because one of the girls who runs the second home was rescued by Josie, our missionary there. She was one of the first girls rescued, redeemed, discipled. Now she's running the second home. So that multiplication process is amazing. But you look and say 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 girls a week we can't take in because we don't have enough space. So,
and they're being trafficked, these girls.
Yeah, or abused by family members. And that's another thing that I love about IJM. It is trafficking for sure, but it's also violence against women and children.
Okay.
We attack the holistic problem of violence against people in poverty. So I was, talking to people how do we stop this problem? Because we can't build 100 more aftercare homes. There's not enough people, there's not enough resources to do that.
Right.
So I got introduced to IJM, who's going after the main problem, right? So if we rescue a girl out of a terrible situation, say in Manila, and you don't prosecute the person that's doing that, that's trafficking them, that person, unfortunately, it's great for the girl that's out, right?
Yeah,
but unfortunately, that person is just going to go get somebody else who's vulnerable.
Yes.
That's a great day for this one child. It's a terrible day for the next child if you don't hold the person doing it accountable. And that's IJM's model, is going after the people that are doing this stuff and stopping it at the root, at the surface. So I love that model. It's the aftercare home and the need for that is immense. But what if one day, based on the work that IJM is doing and with all their partners around the world, you don't need 1,000 aftercare homes. You need 3. So that was what drew me to IJM.
And that's what you're dedicating your life to right now.
That's what we're doing.
Wow. This is a dark question, but I need to ask it. Who are these people that typically do this? Are these individuals? Are they groups? Are they cartels? This is a world that we all need to probably understand better to make a difference in, whether it's to stand behind organizations like IJM or folks like you, Nick, that are fighting a fight that not everyone knows about. Who are the sick? What's the sickness behind this?
That's a great question, and something that I've started to learn more and more about as I've worked with IJM, and I love their their process and learning more about it. But the things that happen, it's not a crime of passion, right? It's a crime of opportunity. Okay, so the only reason people prey on people in poverty is because they can get away with it, right? And how are you going to take from a person living in poverty? You're not going to steal money from them. You can't make money on it. So the only reason they do this is because they have the ability to get away with it. So if somebody comes in with the help of the government and local law enforcement like IJM does, and they say, hey, let's prosecute people.
Yeah.
And because laws are already on the books. It's illegal to traffic kids, right?
Yeah,
but let's go and prosecute. So these people that are doing it don't operate with impunity. They actually, for the first time in their lives, they have to think maybe I get caught. So you start arresting people doing it, and you see other people in your same line of work getting caught. You're maybe I shouldn't do that. That opportunity to commit that crime is not as easy as it was before, and it starts to shut down the entire industry.
How long has the IJM been around?
So I think this is our 21st year.
Wow.
So it's an amazing process. And the genesis of it, it was going in and rescuing one person.
Yeah.
Saving one person. And it's evolved over time, over the next 10 years, the next 20 years. And this next 10 years, our 2030 vision is going to protect over 500 million people in poverty from violence. That's our big audacious goal.
I'm rubbing my head, folks. This is mind blowing to me. It's wow. Sometimes I feel like I got my head in the sand, right? You hear about it, but there's a world that we talk about impact, how we can help people from all over the globe that are doing this. Let's shine some light on those girls.
Yeah.
You said 43 in one school?
Yeah, in our home, yeah.
Okay.
That we've taken.
What those gals?
Yeah.
Are there any crazy success stories that these girls have gone on and done amazing things, or what's their life typically look like? Is it because they've been abused or trafficked? They're headed down doomsday? Well,
yeah.
Tell me about
that part is unbelievable. Like we went over there in 2019, me and a couple buddies, and it was the first time we have a little side home from the main house, and it's the first time guys have ever stayed on the property.
Okay.
Right. So we go in saying, hey, like, we don't know how the girls are going to react because they've been abused by people that look like us, right? By men. So, like, hey, we're going to, like, if they invite us in, they invite us in. If they don't, no problem.
Right.
So we go the first day and we're there for a week and we're saying, okay, like, the older girls in the house, let's just take them on a date and show them how, like, people who love Jesus, how they should be treated by a guy. So we go to this restaurant
And these girls are how old?
they're 17 to 21.
Okay.
And there's 15 girls and 3 of us. And we just go and sit down at a restaurant for 4 hours. And by the end of it, just sharing their stories and sharing our stories. And by the end of it, we're like singing worship songs. Everybody's going around saying, hey, what's your favorite worship song? And we're like, people in this restaurant are looking at us like we're crazy because we're just like singing the whole time. Like, what are we doing?
I love it.
So, and then we go to church with them. And I see them, like, watch them sing in their native language and worship. Like, hold on a second. You were in this situation before and you have no hope. You are completely isolated. Like, and now you are, like, worshiping, and it's one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. So, being there, like, seeing the work being done was so incredible. And then, you know, the girls, some of them are in college now. I think we've had 9 graduate college so far in the history of the organization. And then, well, like I said, one of the girls is running her own home now, is the mom of 11 girls. And, you know, we have girls that want to be social workers and counselors and lawyers and get into, you know,
I was going to say that so there's a support system for these girls so that when they get into relationships in their 20s, they have a support system to realize that all relationships aren't so screwed up or have to be.
100%. And we disciple them and we'll take them all the way as long as they want to go to school. We'll pay for it. We'll take care of their lawyers. And this is something that IJM has helped out with, finding good lawyers too. It's like, hey, let's find lawyers that can help prosecute when they go into the courtroom and say, hey, this is what happened. Like, so it's crazy.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. And thank you to IJM for what they're doing. How would even one learn or contribute to IJM? Is the website they would go to learn more about it?
Yeah, it's just IJM.org. And then, you know, we work all over the world. So whatever you're passionate about, whatever region, whatever area, whatever, there's a place for you to come alongside and go.
Nick, they said, Nick, we need you to do a talk to 43 of these girls at the home. It's got to be 2 minutes long. What would you tell those girls? If you had, like, this is your keynote in 2 minutes, what would you tell them? What would you say to them about life, about what they've been through, and how they're going to make something with their life?
Yeah,
what would it be?
That's a great question. I think something that my dad talked a lot about when I was growing up was perseverance. One of the best traits I feel like I would love to impart this on my children as they get older is the ability to persevere no matter what. And one of my favorite Bible verses, 2 Thessalonians 3:13, it says, as for you, brothers and sisters, never tire of doing good. And for me, it's like these, whatever circumstances you're in, obviously, like, they're in some pretty dire circumstances, but I would just impart on them, like, don't get tired of doing good. Like, keep going, you know, and keep grinding it out. We have so much to be thankful for and look forward to in this life. Obviously, you're going to go through trials and tribulations. That's what I love about, you know, following Jesus in the Bible and reading. Like, we're never lied to. You know, John 16:33 says, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, for I've overcome the world.
right? Like nobody ever promised you it's going to be easy.
That's right.
So if
That's right.
I would have a hard time, if I was told this life was going to be easy, and then you hit that first bump in the road, or it gets really hard, or things like that. Like I'll just share something personal in my journey. Like last year, about like 9 months ago, our oldest was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
And like, okay, if I think that, this life is supposed to be easy and smooth, and we have a medical diagnosis like that, and my daughter comes to me and says, Dad, I think God gave me the wrong life, giving me this diabetes, I would be mad, right? Like I would be like, I'm lied to. But in that, because I'm not lied to, I know that in this life we'll have trouble, but I also know that, like, take heart, for I've overcome the world, right? I know I can go to her and say, you know what? I know you're hurting, but I know we serve a God that doesn't make mistakes.
That's right.
You are whole. You are complete. You can be there. You can thank you so much for coming to me with that, but we don't live at that address. It's okay to be there for a little while, but let's move to the address of victory. So to be able to say that to her or to the girls, like, you were dealt a brutal hand. Like, I heard a story of one of the girls. I probably can't say it on this show, how terrible it was. And like, you were born into this world in a terrible situation, but like, we don't have to live there anymore.
Amen. You don't have to be shackled up in that. Wow. Thinking about that, I'm like, okay, if you're in front of these girls, what's been violated, right? Love, trust. So I know if I had those 2 or 3 points, not knowing that exactly, but someone who's been dealt a tough hand, how do you share with someone about love, and even God's love, agape love, and unconditional love, that you are a child of God, and that as you love God, right? Love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. Love is going to be really the answer. Trust has been violated. How do you develop trust? Exactly what you and the crew that you went down there with is to be about trust, and you develop trust with your friends who are in that room, those 42 other girls, of developing trust, because trust has been violated. And lastly, and this is a deep one, is gratitude. How do you focus on gratitude when you've been through hell? Yeah, like that's something and it doesn't have to be this, folks. Many of you, all of us, by the way, all of us have something we're battling right now. How can you be grateful for the battle? How can you be grateful for the challenge that you're going through, and whether that be a diagnosis, an upcoming surgery one may be having? How can you be thankful for the fact that maybe this episode, this situation that you're in, could be an epiphany that could lead you to A, a better life, or B, actually to impact thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. And maybe living in that state of gratitude is going to shift everything, so that all of a sudden now you're actually grateful for the fact of where you came from, or whatever that was. Divorced parents, tough upbringing, all the way to the stories that you're telling, Nick. I think that if we can really hold into gratitude, even when you don't feel like being in gratitude, it shifts and changes everything. And it's hard. It's hard to be grateful when you're going through something really, really challenging and hard, especially something like this, because you want to hold on to anger, hatred, all of the things that people have been violating. Is how do you shift that and heal from the inside out? So, man, that's good.
Yeah,
that is good.
There was a couple months ago, I was on a call. We do some Zoom calls too with some of the survivors, and one of the girls broke down. She's like, I was finally able to forgive my abuser. Yeah. After 3 years. Wow. Like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I could ever get to that point, right? Like, the freedom of that forgiveness.
Yes.
Not saying you trust the person or anybody, whoever it was, like, because you never can trust like that part, but it's like, hey, the freedom of that forgiveness. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Good point.
So it was wild just to be able to hear that.
Good point. Let's shift it here. Your role now at IJM, how have you used, or how do you use, some of the lessons that you've learned as a professional athlete, as a baseball player, in what you're doing now? So what carries over to your work with IJM?
Yeah, I would say the daily grind, right? Interesting. I mean, baseball is 24/7 for 9 months. Every day you like put your head down, you like hop in that submarine and you like disappear. It's crazy how long the season is. You're, obviously it's not life or death, but you're competing, you're putting your skills on the line against the best players in the world every single day.
Yeah.
And then you wake up and you do it again. And you do it from February till hopefully through the end of October, right? So it's a hard profession. It's a great job if you can get it, for sure. But it's a difficult task, right? And then going into IJM, where there's a group of people that are doing something really, really hard, and they're doing it every day. And to be able to persevere, like I said earlier, and do that with them is something that's so exciting. And I can, lean back on the days in August when you feel terrible and the batting practice pitcher is carving you up in BP and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to go face another one of your boys. Like, I got to go face Steven Strasburg tonight in DC and he's throwing 100 and the guy who's throwing batting practice is throwing 50 and I can't hit a ball out of the infield. What am I going to do? I'm going to like grind it out, and you like figure out a way to sneak a hit and a walk and you're like, oh my gosh, that was the best game ever. I had nothing. And we figured it out. We grinded right through it.
Right.
So to be in that with these people, and I think that's what drew me to Fitness Quest and you was like that sense of community.
Yeah.
And like doing stuff together. And, I've been in here with you when some of our friends have gotten some of the worst news ever. I remember this stuff like it was yesterday. But like, you've created such an awesome community of people to come in and share life with and share the hard things. And that's what I love about IJM is that community. And
interesting.
Another, like, I'll drop another one I've read this morning, as in Thessalonians again, 1 Thessalonians 5:11. It says, therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just as you were doing. It's like, I've been around you where you've built so many people up and encouraged them through difficult times and through trying to make it, right? And that's the IJM model. Like, we gather every day for prayer together. For 30 minutes we pray and we like bring stuff to the table and share each other's burdens. Yeah. And there's sometimes I don't really want to get on that prayer because there's some really, really hard things being brought up. It's like, man, I don't want to carry this. Yeah. Right. And, we do a good job of, our CEO always says like, this is God's weight to carry. This is not your weight to carry. Right. Like, we're going to try to save people, but it's not our weight. So that part, made long answer to a short question.
Speaking of building up and forgiveness, have you forgiven me for all the times I whooped you in rebounder? I mean, for years I would just whoop you and the guys, and I'd come out the champion. You'd say I cheated and this and that. But I was trying to show you that you had to be gracious in loss and defeat as well as in victory too. So this is the only good part about that. It was a little, I don't know when Twitter or Instagram, all that stuff started before you were a sensation online, but this was like 2008. So you didn't document it as much now. Now, if I play you and you win one, it's like a 2-minute break. So you can film yourself celebrating and then post it. And then, okay, now everybody gets like. Truth be told, I may only win a point or two out of the 20 and I post it. Like, you're just posting the one you win. I'm like, yep, absolutely.
That was the best part. The trash talk,
Oh, absolutely.
I think when I was a rookie, one of the guys that I came up with said, hey, my goal is to make fun of you before you make fun of me. That's the big league. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what we're doing. I love it. So being in that environment with you guys and talking trash, man. Oh, what do they
say about baseball? It's a game of negativity. CY used to talk about this all the time because if you hit 300, you're a Hall of Famer. And it was like he used to say this all the time as a quote. Do you remember the quote? It was a game of failure. Do you remember that quote or no?
Yeah, I mean, you failing all the time.
Yeah.
And when unfortunately, when I first came up, we lost 99 games with the pods. Like, that's a lot of games to lose. That's a lot of failing for sure.
I remember that. I'll have to get back to. I'll put it in the show notes. It was basically to the effect of baseball is a game of failure played by folks who are often negative. Right? It was all about. His point was it was culture. You had to turn it around because again, if you are successful 3 out of 10 times, you're a Hall of Famer, and it's getting your mind right. Like, how do you get your mind right? You just talked about it's August, the dog days of summer. You're in Florida, and there's like no one in the stands, and you've got to rally because you got someone blowing smoke down the plate, and you've got to make sure you can perform. What do you miss most about competing in sports?
The outlet to entertain, I miss for sure. I think, especially with the pandemic last year, I think people lost sight of sporting events as an entertainment product.
Yeah.
So there's nobody in the stands. Like when guys were playing last year, like you don't want to play 162 games without anybody to entertain.
Right.
So I miss that entertainment product, like the ability to go like put my skills to the test. And if I don't measure up, okay, I'm going to come back tomorrow and we're going to try to make an adjustment and figure it out.
Right.
Definitely miss that. And then I miss this right here. Like the off-season workout. There was a time I was telling my wife this. There was a good 6 months where after I retired, I could not go in the weight room because I missed being with guys like you and like-minded people that were grinding it out, ready to like build towards something.
Yeah.
I was building towards spring training, or you're building towards the playoffs, or you're building towards that August grind. You have a foundation. You're like, hey, I'm doing this for a reason.
Yeah.
And I would go into the weight room and I would miss playing. That was the only time I missed it. So being around guys, being on the plane, sharing dinner, sharing stories, talking trash, and then the entertainment side of it.
Well, you're doing a heck of a job now because you are doing something that is tremendously impactful. If someone is listening in is in transition, because you've done an amazing job transitioning from pro baseball into now a career and job that is making a difference, but someone's in transition, what advice would you give them or encouragement would you give them today? Maybe they're a little lost. Maybe they're searching for that next step. What is it? And whether they like their previous career or job or not, they're searching in transition, or they're in transition with their health, or they're in transition with their mindset. What encouragement would you give them today?
Yeah, so I think I struggled when I retired. I really did, because my goal and my dreams were to play Major League Baseball.
That's right.
So I lived out this dream and I got to do it. And then, I had to do something else, right? It wasn't going to be fulfilled for my entire life. So I had to transition out of that. And it's like, okay, what's my next dream? That's fine. Like, let's go find the next dream. That was a good thought, but I never really like mourned the fact that my first dream was done. Right. So I would say spend some time and actually mourn, be honest with yourself. Like, I really loved doing this before. Now I'm transitioning out into something else. And I needed to sit there and mourn that loss of my job, of my first career. So once I got into that stage, I was a lot healthier for sure. Once I gave myself the opportunity to mourn and gave myself the latitude to do that. And then a good buddy of mine wrote a book where he said, things that make you mad, sad, or glad are passions in your life that have been given to you.
Yeah.
So find areas in those three settings. Like, it makes me mad that girls are taken advantage of, and women and that can't defend themselves are taken advantage of. I want to fight for those that can't defend themselves. And then what makes me sad? It makes me sad that a 12-year-old is scared to go to sleep at night, or an 8-year-old is scared to go to sleep at night. That makes me sad. It makes me really glad when I can hear somebody's story that they are going to sleep at night and they're not scared anymore. Those things make me mad, then it makes me sad, and it makes me glad. Those things, find something that, and it could be something in different, every one could be a different area. I get satisfied in those three areas by one job. So, and then I also have the ability to come home at night in San Diego and take my kids to school and tuck them in and coach their soccer teams. So those things, I'm just very, very thankful to be able to transition. But there was a long time, a good time where my wife she said when I was playing, she's like, do you ever have a bad day? I'm like, no, I mean, I'm getting to do what I dreamed of doing. I love this. I love being around people. I love the challenge of it. And then when I retired, there was a time for months she'd look at me and say, "Do you ever have a good day?" I'm like, wow, that's a great question, because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what my dream is. That's dead now. I don't get to live that dream anymore. So her perspective was huge. I was like, man, she's watching me. She's like, I really haven't had a good day in 6 months where I'm like joyful or something like that. So she helped me out a lot through the process.
Wow. Folks, that was a lot packaged in that right there from Nick. Purpose. Got to have a purpose, right? You got to have a purpose. You got to have a dream. I don't care if you're 25, you're 50, you're 75, you got to have a dream and a purpose. And I love those emotions. Folks, if you're listening to this right now, I need you to share this episode. I need you to share it. Why? Why is it when an athlete or someone with a high profile does something stupid, bad, it's all over the media, and hundreds of thousands or millions of people see that and mock that and all of it. But then you get an interview like Nick Hundley talking about the amazing things that he's doing to make a positive difference in the world, but you don't hear about it. Unless you're listening to the show right now, you hear it, and hundreds of millions of people worldwide are listening to the Impact Show right now. That's the vision.
Yeah, let's go.
But you need to share this, because Nick is a warrior doing great things, but you don't see it on the ESPN top 10 bullets that are in there. You see the things that aren't going well, or someone does something dumb with their life, and people want to read that. I'm saying, let's take the amazing things that you're doing, that IJM is doing, and share that with the world so we can get more people behind this movement that is doing amazing things. Can I get an amen on that, please? Anyone out there right now? I can see you walking around, pumping your fist, feeling like $1 million. Pick it up, wag the tail a little bit. I'm a little fired up right now, Nick.
I love it. That's why we come here, man.
Gosh. And that's good. Mad, sad, and glad. That's living with emotions. Always bringing back to Coach Jim Valvano, right? You got to have the emotions every day. You got to laugh. You got to cry. And you got to have a purpose. On that stuff. Any final words today as our folks wrap up their workouts or their drive, and they're sitting in the car and the car's idling. I can't stop listening to this episode with Nick Hundley. Any final words today?
Oh, just thankful for you, TD. What you've poured into my life. You talk about impact and the Impact podcast. Like, you impact those people around you in a positive way. Like, that stuff is life changing. That's ripple effect. That's something you'll never have a full grasp of, how many people's life you've changed or impacted. But to sit here and say, I can truly say, I love you as a brother. You've like made my life better and my family's life better. You've challenged me. I know you want to make impact, but you don't have to want to do anything. You're living it out. You're doing it. So as a mentor of mine, as a brother of mine, I love you, and I appreciate you having me.
Folks, that is Nick Hundley. You talk about a man who is on a mission from an illustrious pro baseball career to finding a new career full of max impact. That is some maximum impact right there. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today, sharing your story, and all that you're doing to make a huge difference in a lot of people's lives. Thanks for being here today, Nick.
Hey, thanks, man. And now, I'm working out with you tomorrow. I know that. So because I did this, you're going a little easier on me tomorrow, where I don't have to take the Pedialytes afterwards, so stay up.
Well, you like the Pedialytes, but we're actually going to play a little game tomorrow on the rebounder game and see if we can talk a little smack. And if I win a point or two, the world's going to see it, baby.
Love it. Thanks, man. You're the best, man.
Wow. Oh, wow. My friends, was that an awesome conversation with Nick Hundley or what? My jaw was dropped hearing some of the stories and just listening to Nick, and so proud of what he's doing now to truly make an impact in people's lives. We talk about impact. That right there is impact. Please share this episode. It not only helps the show, that one right there is going to literally save lives. Save lives. Share this show. Also, check out International Justice Mission, IJM.org. IJM.org. I want to just give a huge round of applause to them, all that they're doing. When I found out from Nick recently that he was involved with them and what he's doing, and have learned more about all the amazing things that IJM is doing on many levels, man, my gratitude goes out to them and all the people who serve that incredible organization. So check it out, IJM.org. Guys, go out there and have a great day today. I love it. Be mad, be sad, be glad, but most importantly today, don't forget, you got to train hard, you got to eat right, and you must live inspired. Go create impact. Peace. God bless. I love you guys.